HB 41 News.
Chipotle fired an assistant manager at its Lenexa location. A Muslim employee says the manager repeatedly harassed her for wearing a hijab, an Islamic headscarf. According to the Kansas chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, the manager asked to see the employee's hair on several occasions. The employee explained she wears the hijab for religious reasons and did not take it off. On August 9th, after she again refused to remove that hijab, the manager pulled it from her head. Today, a rep for Chipotle said the assistant manager was fired in mid-August.
A Category Level 5 media assault demanding a Chipotle assistant manager's firing for pulling off an employee's hijab.
The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, is supporting Sufyan, calling for the assistant manager to be fired.
A teen girl working at Chipotle says her manager pulled off her hijab at work, and now that man's fired and could face criminal charges.
And he just came behind me and pulled my scarf, and I really don't have any idea what would make someone to do that.
She's working with the Council on American Islamic Relations in Kansas, who helped her get a lawyer and response from Chipotle.
We need to make sure that this never happens again to anybody in her place, and we will take whatever steps necessary.
Predictably, CAIR told us it was a sexual thing.
Someone pulling that hijab off is probably the closest thing I can say is almost like somebody coming to a non-Muslim woman and pulling her shirt off or pulling her pants off.
Well, I don't know how to put this other than you are lying. It is not a sexual thing. It is a personal choice. This is the CAIR honcho in Maryland talking about her experience on 9/11.
And I remember I was in my first year of pharmacy school at the time. My father had called me on my cell phone, my new cell phone, and he said, just take off your hijab.
Is he telling her to go walk around naked? That makes no sense. Isn't it more likely he's telling her to take off the hijab to become less conspicuous? Let's look at this video produced by the Chicago Tribune, where normal people talk about the hijab. No one here is talking about the hijab the way CAIR does.
And it was something that I had wanted to do.
And within Syrian society, there's a mixture of women who decide to adhere to wearing the hijab and women who don't.
They wear the hijab because they want to. It makes them feel good and connected to something bigger than themselves.
In general, I really love wearing hijab because I feel like it's like an instant sisterhood with anybody I meet on the street.
I'm doing this because I want to do it.
American Muslim women are choosing to wear hijab. And those who are not choosing to wear hijab aren't penalized or judged in any way because they don't.
Some people, they like to accessorize, They wear it as it's a part of their outfit. And for some people it's a very strong spiritual statement. And so you have that whole spectrum of what it means to the person wearing it.
There is absolutely no doubt that CAIR knows this is a personal choice. For example, in Illinois, CAIR is suing to allow women to take off their hijab after wearing it in their ID photo.
Some civil rights group says that an Illinois driver's license rule violates religious rights. The Chicago chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations filed a federal lawsuit challenging that rule. Now, the rule requires anyone wearing a religious head covering while taking a driver's license photo to sign a form saying that they may lose their license if they're later seen in public not wearing that head covering.
The woman on whose behalf CAIR is filing suit says this about the hijab. Sometimes you just walk out of the house without it. No big deal. Let's look at some examples of CAIR's hijab crises and how they only make things worse. Air Canada asked a young lady to remove her hijab moments before boarding time.
After the security check, an employee stopped her at the gate and told her to remove her headscarf so he could do an ID check.
At the gate, he said, "You're going to need to take that off." He just pointed at it. And I was confused at first. I was like, "What?" And he said, "That." And I said, "Oh, I can't." And he said, "No, you have to."
Abdelrahman says a female employee took her into a corner, not a private room, where she removed her headscarf.
My first time, I didn't know. I was scared, be separated from my teammates. I didn't want to be late. I didn't want something to go wrong. So I was like, okay, fine.
CAIR tried to make a big deal out of this and began fetishizing the hijab. But the story lost traction when local newscasters reported she was showing men her hair in her passport photo.
On her flight to her first international competition, Fatima, who wasn't wearing a headscarf in her passport photo, was asked to remove her hijab by Air Canada staff at the boarding gate.
Isn't it curious that the family did not think to update her photo? The hijab is a very important thing that you don't want coming loose, and yet in the CAIR hijab stories, people act like nothing will ever happen. They take no precautions. Here is a recent story where a middle school student got into a brawl with other students and they pulled her hijab off. She continued fighting sans hijab and a security guard had to restrain her. CAIR tried to make this story trend, but, well, if you don't want people pulling off your hijab, don't get into fights in the cafeteria. This young lady was not concerned with her nakedness. Instead, she was fighting. Security had to restrain her and force her from the room.
She was dragged through a lunchroom and no one offered her shield.
What they did was disgusting and horrible, and it was a hate crime, literally. Like, that's all. That's it. That's all we got to call it.
Yeah, we just learned that the Philadelphia chapter of the Council of American Islamic Relations is now involved and have agreed to represent the teen. Township Police says they are still looking for witnesses and video and encourage anyone to come forward.
We spoke with the family's attorney, Timothy Welbeck, of the Council on American Islamic Relations, Philadelphia.
No criminal charges have been officially filed yet. Right now, though, Sanaa has entered into the system as an offender. It is our argument, we are maintaining that Sanaa is the victim.
I choose every day to cover myself for a reason. So for you to take that off on purpose is blatantly a hate crime.
Buford isn't going to class now and doesn't know she'll ever go back to that school.
Family members all gathered on the steps of the Montgomery County Courthouse Wednesday, rallying against what they see as unjust impending criminal charges against Sanaa. Well, we did receive a statement this evening from the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office saying in part that all three of the girls were found responsible for the fight and all were charged with mutual combat assault. Quote, each of the girls were offered diversion in our youth aid panel, a diversionary program that uses community service, assignments, and other learning opportunities for youth in lieu of proceeding in juvenile court. After completing the diversion program, a child has no juvenile record. They go on to say, we reviewed the totality of the Tallahassee Police Department's investigation and found no evidence that racial or religious bias motivated this fight.
I want to see me going back into North Penn with, a great school behind me.
This one is a hoax. CAIR's client claims the Pepsi Center mistreated her, but security camera footage shows it was she who was misbehaving.
CAIR Colorado says a security guard told a woman last week she needed to remove her hijab. The woman writes on Facebook she offered to step to the side and remove it in private, but she was told she couldn't do that. Eventually she was allowed in, but she says it was not before she had to return to her car and she cried. Crocky Sports releasing a statement saying, unfortunately, there was a misunderstanding when a security agent didn't recognize that Ms. Bensreti was wearing a hijab. A supervisor quickly intervened and the woman entered.
On Wednesday, Bensreti and the Colorado chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations demanded an investigation and more training for the employees.
I hope that no one is ever treated the way that I was treated, especially in front of my daughter.
Before the game, Bensreti went to go pick up her tickets.
The security person that was working immediately waved at me and told me that I had to take that thing off of my head.
That thing was the same hijab she wore today.
I responded right away and told her that this was not just a head covering, that it was for religious purposes, to which she responded that she didn't care.
Bensreti says she asked to take the hijab off in private, but that was denied. So was her request for the employee's name.
My daughter was crying, asking if I was not going to see her perform.
Eventually, a supervisor intervened and let Bensreti inside. Still, she and her attorney argue the first employee violated her religious freedom and the law.
Those basketball games must be open to all Americans, regardless of faith, regardless of what head covering they're wearing. The Denver Nuggets fell short here. It has an obvious solution, and we're hopeful that the Denver Nuggets implement it.
My daughter was crying, asking if I was not going to see her perform.
A shocking mall confrontation in Manchester, all caught on video, the incident sparking a police investigation.
Manchester police confirming to Fox 61 that they are investigating a racially motivated incident. This video posted on social media.
Your husband's tracks because they're making you wear a head wrap.
Oh, so they're really making us wear a head wrap. Yeah, walk away. Walk away, walk away.
To the daughters who want to remain anonymous.
I mean, we're living in this country with freedom. That's why we're wearing our headscarf, because we can wear it. And she goes, oh yeah, I'm trying to look for my keys, but I mean, there's no one here to ask for help. They're all immigrants. They don't speak in English.
The video caught the attention of CAIR, Connecticut American Islamic Relations.
We're seeing more of this. People are emboldened to say what they think. They're using the idea that this is a free country and we have free speech to kind of shield against what is real hate. And the solution isn't to spout out more hate and more xenophobia. It's to meet your neighbor.
And we have a Fox 61 follow-up for you on a story you saw first here on Fox 61. A family targeted by hate speech now trying to get in contact with the woman who verbally attacked them.
Police report stating that the woman, 49-year-old Kristen Hitchcock, was bothered by the headscarf, stating that they were taking over her country and that Muslims need to leave America. Manchester police issued an infraction ticket for creating a public disturbance. The family is working with the Council of American Islamic Relations, Connecticut, to reach out to Hitchcock to discuss what happened. They said they expect an apology and, quote, we feel that respectful, civilized communication can be an effective tool to prevent future incidents like this.
The more you know about your neighbor, the less you're going to hate him.
13-year-old boys throw firecrackers at a woman wearing a veil and hijab. CAIR wants to take the kids to court.
A Muslim woman in Jackson is speaking out tonight after she claims she was attacked because of her religion.
It was infuriating, and it was also pretty scary at the same time.
Yasira Nelson was walking down North Street near Edgewood in her Jackson neighborhood when she says she heard what sounded like gunshots.
It was a loud pop, and then they yelled, and then it was pop, pop.
Nelson was wearing her hijab.
I thought somebody was shooting at me for the sake of me being Muslim. Then I heard someone yell Muslim, and then I heard two more loud pops, followed by Ali Akbar.
Jackson Director of Police and Fire Elmer Hitt tells me those pops were fireworks, and the people responsible 13-year-old boys. Nelson now calling for those teens to be charged with a hate crime.
It is a hate crime. They tried to intimidate me. They tried to frighten me. They terrorized me.
And demanding an apology. Nelson's attorney from the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, telling me they will fight this in the court system.
We have a system in which juvenile offenders are dealt with in a manner that's different from adult offenders. We're not asking that they be charged as an adult, but we are asking that these children have some consequences for their actions.
Coming to a non-Muslim woman and pulling her shirt off or pulling her pants off.
Oh, come on. CAIR actually expects us to accept this analogy. We should believe a woman would remove her pants in front of a stranger before taking off her hijab? Are we really supposed to believe that? Well, the answer is yes. Let us review a Category 7 media assault by CAIR against John Grosso.
Council member in Anne Arundel County
is facing some backlash
after sharing a series of ugly posts targeting Muslims.
The Council on American Islamic Relations.
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 Council on American Islamic Relations.
The Council on American Islamic Relations
is pushing John Grosso of Anne Arundel County to step down.
For a week, CAIR accused Grosso on TV of endangering people.
There are members who live in his district who are concerned about their safety.
John Grosso has apologized to the Council on American Islamic Relations.
CAIR's pressure compelled Grosso to apologize to the Anne Arundel County Muslim Council. On the AACMC's website, we see the hijab is part of their nation-building enterprise. Yes, they will have to teach the proper attitude towards the hijab, because you're not going to come to it on your own. In the hands of CAIR, the hijab is a device for control. Although Muslims will take no precautions to make sure the hijab doesn't come off, it is upon us to protect, revere, and fear the hijab. Under CAIR's direction, the hijab will mean anything, to anyone, at any time, and change again tomorrow. If people really want to live their lives this way, we can do what we can to make them feel secure. But heaven help anyone who begins to actually believe the instructions given out by the media and the Council on American Islamic Relations.